So I want to talk about policy, and I want to start with you, Jimmy, because everybody knows I'm from Philadelphia. There has been an effort to make significant change in Philadelphia, and there has been a push against that effort. And if y'all don't know, his name is DA Larry Krasner. He has done phenomenal work in Philadelphia. And there has been a campaign to remove him because they are so frustrated how he is looking for justice in the criminal justice system. And it's terrible how you have somebody who was elected by the people who is trying to right wrongs, and they are acting like he's in the wrong, and they're blaming him for crime in Philadelphia. In the city, this long-standing city of crime, it's all his fault. So I know that you worked with Larry Krasner, correct, Jimmy? And you even campaigned
Yeah,
for him.
yeah, I
Tell us
campaigned
about
to help.
the
Yeah,
policy side of this and Larry
yeah,
Krasner.
I helped to campaign to get him back in office. So let's just cut through the chase because you know I like to do that, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
get down to the facts to let everybody in Philadelphia know. The only reason that they don't like Larry Krasner is because Larry Krasner has exonerated 22 or more innocent people. That's number one. Number two, all those men and women deserve to be home. Okay. Now, number three, the Fraternal Order of Police that he has been prosecuting, locking up the corrupt police officers, they are the ones who want Larry Krasner out of office. We never heard a district attorney blamed for crime in Philadelphia. Lynn
Never.
Abraham, who was corrupt, was not blamed for crime. Roger King, who was corrupt, wasn't
Mm-mm.
blamed for crime. And Seth Williams, who was corrupt, who went to prison, who is trying to align himself back into public light to be coming out speaking out against like Krasner and everyone else. He went to prison. He was corrupt. So what we have is, why would you be mad about a district attorney that's following policy and locking up the bad police officers who are corrupt? Right now, as we speak, two of the police officers that were in this situation, Frank Druskrimsky, Manuel Santiago, goes to trial in September. And they only going to trial for perjury. And the only reason they weren't charged with more crimes because the statute of limitation is up. We should be applauding him for doing what's right. He's following policy. And what we have to do in Philadelphia is not allow him to be impeached by crooked politicians, not allow the Fraternal Order of Police to funnel millions of dollars into these campaigns to get him out of office when we, the people, have elected him and he's doing his job. We often talk about all over the country, we always say this, oh, we can't put all police officers in the same boat. Well, here's the problem with that. We always talking about they're good police officers. All right, we know that, right? But what I submit to you is, if police officers know that there's corruption in their precinct and these guys over here are corrupt, they're being complicit in the act of corruption. Nobody should be upset at Larry Krasner because he's following policy. But every time something happens, they're upset at him. Once again, you never heard this with Lynn Abraham, Roger King, and Seth Williams. And all three people were corrupt, have been proven to be corrupt. And this is why they're the reason and the only reason that people like me who were wrongly convicted have came home because of their corruption and the wrong that they were doing, and our actual innocence being proven with evidence of our innocence that they buried, withheld, and hidden, them and the police. Nobody should be upset at Larry Krasner when someone is following policy, period. And what we have to do in Philadelphia is we have to vote. We have to pay attention to who's running for mayor, who's running for judge, who's running for city council, and get the right people in and get rid of the same status quo. so that things can get better within the city, within the system and within the city.
Well said, Jimmy. And you mentioned Lim Abraham. For those that don't know, she was known as the Queen of Death.
Queen
They
of Death,
called her the
yes.
Queen of Death because she had
Queen
the
of Death.
highest rate of death penalty. I mean, it was insane. Roger King, I've covered this before. He was a black prosecutor, y'all, and he was famously known for locking up as many black children and men as possible. It's heinous stuff. So I appreciate what you say about voting, Jimmy Dennis. Like, that's some real talk. And uh, even in the primaries, we got to show up, and they are doing the work to try and pull back any bit of progress. And that's very scary in my city.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Let's go to Marvin. All right. So a little bit similar in Michigan, right? Because you have the Conviction Integrity Unit that has done some phenomenal work. Again, trying to right these wrongs. And in your case, or all three of y'all cases, with you, you have corrupt detectives. You have jailhouse informants being pressured. You're ultimately convicted because of corrupt people in the system, and you have this unit now that's trying to correct that, and that Conviction Integrity Unit is getting backlash in Michigan. It's the story. That train is never late. So tell me, Marvin, how you see what needs to be changed moving forward, and how people in Michigan or listeners can do something and be engaged.
Thank you for that question. The Conviction Integrity Unit, under the leadership of Valerie Newman, is doing great things. Right here in Wayne County, doing great things. But in all of the cases where you have all of this police corruption, unlike in Philadelphia, you don't have any police officers being charged. People always ask me that. Like, well, did they lock anybody up? Did anybody get charged? In Michigan, you never see detectives face any charges for the things that they do, for the criminal things that they do. They could violate every right that you have. In some cases, they went a lot farther than just violating constitutional rights. They violate civil rights, and it's no check there. I ran for state representative last year in Michigan in the new 11th House district. And what I noticed, I understand politics a little differently after running. It was like a baptism into a new world. And I was able to see the people that actually have a voice and the people that don't have a voice. Of course, some of it is strategic to limit the voice of the minorities, Black, brown, and even poor whites. But the other side of it is, we have to register to vote. We have to vote. We have to pay attention. We have to stop buying into the false narrative that your vote don't count. That stuff counts. That's why they spend so much time and money trying to not let you vote, trying to make it more difficult, because they understand that every single vote matters. And we have to stop being divided about issues that are not our issues. We have to unify around the issues that are issues. The people that supported me the least, and not that they were trying to not support me, is those returning citizens, people that have been directly impacted by incarceration. Here in Michigan, you can vote with a felony. You can vote if but since we don't understand politics and never were really taught politics and locked out of politics and don't see politics working for us, although it affects every single aspect of our life. And just in a wrongful conviction context, you have judges have to run for office.
That's right.
Prosecutors have to run for office. If you register to vote, you can be on the jury pool. So you don't have to worry about not having a jury of your peers, because if you register to vote, you automatically go in the jury pool. You have all of these officials that can have an effect on whether you be wrongfully convicted or not. You have the mayor run for office and they appoint a chief. You want the chief of police to actually do what they're supposed to do in your city, then you have to elect the mayor that's going to make sure that happens, or use your vote to fire that mayor, or fire those city council people, or fire that prosecutor, or fire those that are not doing what's in the best interest of that community. So when it comes to a policy and law aspect to making sure that wrongful convictions doesn't happen, and to correct those that have happened, as my brother Jimmy said, voting is right at the center of it. It's our way to hire and fire those that's going to make decisions for us. Protesting don't work. I'm not a fan of protesting. No disrespect to those that have laid down their life, laying down. No disrespect. But in order to get things done, we have to build systems. We have to build teams. We have to build unity. We have to put our dollars behind it. When I was running for office, when I called some of the Black people that I've worked for and worked with, different nonprofits, it was like I had to really convince them. When I called some of the white people, they like, hey, how much money you need? Send me the information so I can send it to you, because they understand politics. They were never locked out of politics. So we have to start to understand that those $50 and that $100 is small amount. It goes a long way in politics. When you have a community that's making contributions, you can put your auntie and your uncle, those righteous people that need to be in those positions of powers, those stewards over our lives. Those little contributions can work in order to, really protect us from this madness that we're experiencing.
I mean, Marvin, you're saying something here, because you're right. A lot of people feel like, okay, these politicians do nothing for me. But the other side, when they feel that way, they vote in people who will do something. They vote in people who were at the January 6th insurrection. They vote in people who were a part of the quote-unquote Tea Party. When they say we didn't get what we wanted, they say, okay, we're going to put in people. We're going to put in a Margie Taylor Greene. We're going to put in a Matt Gaetz. We're going to put in a Donald Trump, right? Versus saying no one's doing anything for me. No, they're going to put in what they want. So I really
we got to get over the fear. It's a lot of things there, because when I was running for office, I had guns pulled out on me. I was cussed out. The district that I ran in, you have a very poor part in the district. You had a middle class in the district. Then you had a very affluent area in the district. And so I had guns pulled out on me. It wasn't safe out there campaigning, but I was out there every single day. I spent 20 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. I walked that yard, so I could most certainly walk a district of people that don't want me there. So we have to start to understand that and get over the fear of being involved. Like,
absolutely,
we only have so much time on this earth. You're gonna die anyway. What are you gonna do with your life? What are you going to do with your life? Is it going to mean something? Are you going to save lives with your life? Because at a certain point, it's going to be a period on all of us. What are you going to do with that?
Yes. Jared Adams, you're in the courtroom and you have lifeafterjustice.org. So what are some of the things that you're seeing that needs to be done that maybe our audience can help contribute to see that it is being done in that courtroom?
Before I jump into that, I want to piggyback on what Marvin just said. Look, we got to figure out, how to work together, right? Because you can look across the aisle. They fight like cats and dogs, just like us. But when it's time to mobilize, they be right there together, right? And we have to figure out how to fight inside, but be unified outside.